I left no ring with her. What means this lady? Fortune forbid my outside have not charmed her. She made good view of me, indeed so much, that sure methought her eyes had lost her tongue, for she did speak and starts distractedly. She loves me, sure. The cunning of her passion invites me in this churlish messenger. None of my lord's ring? Why, he sent her none. I am the man. If it be so as 'tis, poor lady, she were better love a dream. Disguise, I see thou art a wickedness, wherein the pregnant enemy does much. How easy it is for the proper false in women's waxen hearts to set their forms. Alas, our frailty is the cause, not we. For such as we are made, of such we be. How will this fadge? My master loves her dearly, and I, poor monster, fawn as much on him, and she mistaken seems to dote on me. What will become of this? As I am man, my state is desperate for my master's love. As I am woman, now alas the day. What thriftless sighs shall poor Olivia breathe? O time, thou must entangle this, not I. It is too hard a knot for me to untie. The more my wrong, the more his spite appears. What, did he marry me to famish me? Beggars that come into my father's door, upon entreaty have a present alms. If not elsewhere, they meet with charity. But I, who never knew how to entreat, nor never needed that I should entreat, am starved for meat, giddy for lack of sleep, with oaths kept waking and with brawling fed. And that which spites me more than all these wants, he does it under name of perfect love, as who should say, if I should sleep or eat, 'twere deadly sickness or else present death. I prithee, go and get me some repast. I care not what, so it be wholesome food. No, why? When he that is my husband now came to me as I followed Henry's course, when scarce the blood was well washed from his hands which issued from my other angel husband, and that dead saint which then I weeping followed. Oh, when I say I looked on Richard's face, this was my wish. Be thou, quoth I, accursed, for making me so young, so old a widow. And when thou wettest, let sorrow haunt thy bed. And be thy wife, if any be so mad, as miserable by the life of thee, as thou hast made me by my dear lord's death. Though ere I can repeat this curse again, even in so short a space, my woman's heart grossly grew captive to his honey words, and proved the subject of my own soul's curse, which ever since hath kept my eyes from rest. For never yet 1 hour in his bed have I enjoyed the golden dew of sleep, but have been waked by his timorous dreams. But soft, what light through yonder window breaks? It is the east, and Juliet is the sun. Arise, fair sun, and kill the envious moon, who is already sick and pale with grief that thou, her maid, art far more fair than she. Be not her maid, and she is envious. Her vestal livery is but sick and green, and none but fools do wear it. Cast it off! It is my lady, oh, it is my love! Oh, that she knew she were. She speaks, yet she says nothing. What of that? Her eye discourses. I will answer it. I am too bold. 'Tis not to me she speaks. 2 of the fairest stars in all the heaven, having some business, do entreat her eyes to twinkle in their spheres till they return. What if her eyes were there, they in her head? The brightness of her cheeks would shame those stars as daylight doth the lamp. Her eyes in heaven would through the airy region stream so bright that birds would sing and think it were not night. See how she leans her cheek upon her hand. Oh, that I were a glove upon that hand, that I might touch that cheek. I do much wonder that one man, seeing how much another man is a fool when he dedicates his behaviors to love, will, after he hath laughed at such shallow follies in others, become the argument of his own scorn by falling in love. And such a man is Claudio. I have known when there was no music with him but the drum and the fife, and now had he rather hear the tabor and the pipe. I have known when he would have walked 10 mile afoot to see a good armor, and now will he lie 10 nights awake, carving the fashion of a new doublet. He was wont to speak plain and to the purpose, like an honest man and a soldier, and now is he turned orthography. His words are a very fantastical banquet, just so many strange dishes. May I be so converted and see with these eyes? I cannot tell. I think not. I will not be sworn, but love may transform me to an oyster.
but I'll take my oath on it. Till he have made an oyster of me, he shall never make me such a fool. One woman is fair, yet I am well. Another is wise, yet I am well. Another virtuous, yet I am well. But till all graces be in one woman shall not come in my grace. Rich she shall be, that's certain. Wise or I'll none, virtuous or I'll never cheapen her. Fair or I'll ever look on her, mild or come not near me. Noble or not I for an angel, of good discourse an excellent musician, and her hair shall be of what color it please God. Ha!
Oh, hateful hands, to tear such loving words, injurious wasps to feed on such sweet honey, and kill the bees that yield it with your stings. I'll kiss each several paper for amends. Look, here is writ, kind Julia, unkind Julia, as in revenge of thy ingratitude, I throw thy name against the bruising stones, trampling contemptuously on thy disdain. And here is writ, love wounded Proteus, poor wounded name. My bosom as a bed shall lodge thee till thy wound be thoroughly healed, and thus I search it with a sovereign kiss. But twice or thrice is Proteus written down. Be calm, good wind, blow not a word away, till I have found each letter in the letter, except mine own name, that some whirlwind bear into a ragged, fearful, hanging rock, and throw it thence into the raging sea. Lo, here in one line is his name twice writ. Poor forlorn Proteus, passionate Proteus, to the sweet Julia, that I'll tear away. And yet I will not, since so prettily he couples it to his complaining names. Thus will I fold them one on another. Now kiss, embrace, content, do what you will. What, was it you that would be England's king? Was't you that revelled in our parliament and made a preachment of your high descent? Where are your mess of sons to back you now, the wanton Edward and the lusty George? And where is that valiant crook-back prodigy, Dicky, your boy, that with his grumbling voice was wont to cheer his dad in mutinies? Or with the rest, where is your darling Rutland? Look, York, I stain this napkin with the blood that valiant Clifford with his rapier's point made issue from the bosom of the boy. And if thine eyes can water for his death, I give thee this to dry thy cheek withal. Alas, poor York, but that I hate thee deadly. I should lament thy miserable state. I prithee, grieve to make me merry, York. What, hath thy fiery heart so parched thine entrails, that not a tear can fall for Rutland's death? Why art thou patient, man? Thou shouldst be mad. And I, to make thee mad, do mock thee thus, stand brave and fret that I may sing and dance. Thou wouldst be feed, I see, to make me sport. York cannot speak unless he wear a crown for York, and lords bow low to him. Aye, this is he that took King Henry's chair, and this is he was his adopted heir. But how is it that great Plantagenet is crowned so soon, and broke his solemn oath? As I bethink me, you should not be king, till our King Henry had shook hands with death. And will you pale your head in Henry's glory, and rob his temples of the diadem, now in his life against your holy oath? Oh, 'tis a fault too unpardonable. Off with the crown, and with the crown his head, and whilst we breathe, take time to do him dead. How happy some or other some can be. Through Athens I am thought as fair as she. But what of that? Demetrius thinks not so. He will not know what all but he do know. And as he errs, doting on Hermia's eyes, so I, admiring of his qualities, things base and vile folding no quantity, love can transpose to form and dignity. Love looks not with the eyes, but with the mind, and therefore is winged Cupid painted blind. Nor hath love's mind of any judgment taste, wings in no eyes figure unheedy haste, and therefore is love said to be a child, because in choice he is so oft beguiled, as waggish boys in games themselves forswear, so the boy love is perjured everywhere. For ere Demetrius looked on Hermia's eyne, he held down oaths that he was only mine, and when this hail some heat from Hermia felt, so he dissolved, and showers of oaths did melt. I will go tell him of fair Hermia's flight, then to the wood will he tomorrow night pursue her, and for this intelligence if I have thanks, it is a dear expense. But here in me nigh to enrich my pain, to have his sight thither and back again. I know that virtue to be in you, Brutus, as well as I do know your outward favor.
while honor is the subject of my story. I cannot tell what you and other men think of this life, but for my single self, I had as lief not be as live to be, in awe of such a thing as I myself. I was born free as Caesar, so were you. We both have fed as well, and we can both endure the winter's cold as well as he. For once upon a raw and gusty day, the troubled Tiber chafing with her shores, Caesar said to me, "Darest thou, Cassius, now leap in with me into this angry flood and swim to yonder point?" Upon the word, accoutred as I was, I plunged in and bade him follow, so indeed he did. The torrent roared, and we did buffet it, with lusty sinews throwing it aside and stemming it with hearts of controversy. But ere we could arrive the point proposed, Caesar cried, "Help me, Cassius, or I sink!" Aye, as Aeneas, our great ancestor, did from the flames of Troy upon his shoulder the old Anchisses bear, so from the waves of Tiber did I, the tired Caesar. And this man is now become a god, and Cassius is a wretched creature and must bend his body if Caesar carelessly, but not on him. He had a fever when he was in Spain, and when the fit was on him, I did mark how he did shake. 'Tis true, this god did shake. His coward lips did from their colour fly, and that same eye whose bend doth all the world did lose his lustre. I did hear him groan. Aye, and that tongue of his that bade the Romans mark him and write his speeches in their books. Alas, it cried, "Give me some drink, Titinius." As a sick girl, ye gods, it doth amaze me. A man of such a feeble temper should so get the start of the majestic world and bear the palm alone. Why, man, he doth bestride the narrow world like a colossus, and we petty men walk under his huge legs and peep about to find ourselves dishonorable graves. Men at sometimes are masters of their fates. The fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves that we are underlings. Brutus and Caesar, what should be in that Caesar? Why should that name be sounded more than yours? Write them together, yours is as fair a name. Sound them, it doth become the mouth as well. Weigh them, it is as heavy. Conjure with them, Brutus will start a spirit as soon as Caesar. Now in the names of all the gods at once, upon what meat doth this our Caesar feed, that he is grown so great? Age, thou art shamed. Rome, thou hast lost the breed of noble bloods, when went there by an age since the great flood, but it was famed with more than with one man. When could they say till now that talked of Rome, that her wide walks encompass but one man? Now is it Rome indeed, and room enough, when there is in it but one only man? But I do think it is her husband's faults if wives do fall. See that they slack their duties, and pour our treasures into foreign laps, or else break out in peevish jealousies, throwing restraint upon us, or say they strike us, or scant our former having in despite. Why, we have galls, and though we have some grace, yet we have some revenge. Let husbands know, their wives have sense like them. They see and smell, and have their palates both for sweet and sour, as husbands have. What is it that they do when they change us for others? Is it sport? I think it is. And doth affection breed it? I think it doth. Is frailty that thus errs? It is so too. And have we not affections, desires for sport and frailty as men have? Then let them use us well, else let them know the ills we do, their ills instruct us so.
Farewell. God knows when we shall meet again. I have a faint cold fear thrills through my veins that almost freezes up the heat of life. I'll call them back again to comfort me. Nurse! What should she do here? My dismal scene I needs must act alone. Come, Vial. What if this mixture do not work at all? Shall I be married then tomorrow morning? No, no, this shall forbid it. Lie thou there. What if it be a poison which the friar subtly hath ministered to have me dead? Lest in this marriage he should be dishonored, because he married me before to Romeo. I fear it is, and yet methinks it should not, for he had still been tried a holy man. How if when I am laid into the tomb, I wake before the time that Romeo come to redeem me? There's a fearful point. Shall I not then be stifled in the vault, to whose foul mouth no healthsome air breathes in, and there die strangled ere my Romeo comes? Or if I live, is it not very like the horrible conceit of death and night, together with the terror of the place, as in a vault, an ancient receptacle, wherefore these many 100 years the bones of all my buried ancestors are packed, where bloody Tybalt, yet but green in earth, lies festering in his shroud, whereas they say, at some hours in the night spirits resort. Alack, alack, is it not like that I, so early waking, what with loathsome smells, and shrieks like mandrakes torn out of the earth, that living mortals hearing them run mad? Oh, if I wake, shall I not be distraught, environed with all these hideous fears, and madly play with my forefather's joints, and pluck the mangled Tybalt from his shroud, and in this rage with some great kinsman's bone, as with a club dash out my desperate brains? Oh, look, methinks I see my cousin's ghost, seeking out Romeo that had spit his body upon a rapier's point. Stay, Tybalt, stay. Romeo, I come. This do I drink to thee. If music be the food of love, play on. Give me excess of it that's surfeiting, the appetite may sicken, and so die. That strain again, it had a dying fall. Oh, it came o'er my ear like the sweet sound that breathes upon a bank of violets, stealing and giving odor. Enough, no more. 'Tis not so sweet now as it was before. O spirit of love, how quick and fresh art thou, that notwithstanding thy capacity, receiveth as a sea. Not enters there of what validity and pitch soe'er, but falls into abatement and low price, even in a minute. So full of shapes is fancy, that it alone is high fantastical. Is Brutus sick, and is it physical? To walk, unbrace, and suck up the humours of the dank morning, what is Brutus sick? And will he steal out of his wholesome bed, to dare the vile contagion of the night, and tempt the roomy and unpurged air to add unto his sickness? No, my Brutus, you have some sick offence within your mind, which by the right and virtue of my place I ought to know of, and upon my knees I charm you, by my once commended beauty, by all your vows of love and that great vow which did incorporate and make us one, that you unfold to me yourself, your half, why you are heavy, and what men tonight have had to resort to you, for here have been some 6 or 7 who did hide their faces, even from darkness. And why, I pray you, who might be your mother, that you insult, exalt, and all at once, over the wretched, what though you have no beauty, as by my faith I see no more in you, than without candle may go dark to bed. Must you be therefore proud and pitiless? But one means this, why do you look on me? I see no more in you than in the ordinary of nature's cell work. Oh, it's my little life. I think she means to tangle my eyes too. No faith, proud mistress, hope not after it. 'Tis not your inky brows, your black silk hair, your bugle eyeballs, nor your cheek of cream that can attain my spirits to your worship. You foolish shepherd, wherefore do you follow her, like foggy south, puffing with wind and rain? You are 1,000 times a properer man than she a woman. 'Tis such fools as you that make the world full of ill-favored children. 'Tis not her glass, but you that flatters her, and out of you she sees herself more proper than any of her lineaments can show her. But, mistress, know yourself, down on your knees, and thank heaven, fasting for a good man's love. For I must tell you, friendly in your ear, sell when you can, you are not for all markets. Cry the man mercy, love him, take his offer. Foul is most foul, being foul to be a scoffer. So take her to thee, shepherd, fare you well. Thou art not wholly to belie me so. I am not mad. This hair I tear is mine. My name is Constance. I was Geoffrey's wife. Young Arthur is my son, and he is lost. I am not mad. I would to heaven I were, for then 'tis like I should forget myself. Oh, if I could, what grief should I forget? Preach some philosophy to make me mad, and thou shalt be canonized cardinal, for being not mad, but sensible of grief. My reasonable part produces reason, how I may be delivered of these woes, and teaches me to kill or hang myself. If I were mad, I should forget my son, or madly think a babe of clouds were he. I am not mad, too well I feel the different plague of each calamity. When midnight comes, knock on my chamber window. I'll order take, my mother shall not hear. Now will I charge you in the band of truth. When you have conquered my yet maiden bed, remain there but an hour, nor speak to me. My reasons are most strong, and you shall know them when back again this ring shall be delivered.
And on your finger in the night I'll put another ring, that what in time proceeds may token to the future our past deeds. Adieu till then fail not. You have won a wife of me, though there my hope be done. For which live long to thank both heaven and me. You may so in the end. My mother told me just how he would woo, as if she sat in his heart. She says all men have the like oaths. He had sworn to marry me when his wife's dead. Therefore I'll lie with him when I am buried. Since Frenchmen are so braid, marry that will, I live and die a maid. Only in this disguise I think it no sin to cozen him that would unjustly win.
To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing end them, to die, to sleep, no more, and by a sleep to say we end the heartache and the thousand natural shocks that flushes thereto. 'Tis a consummation devoutly to be wished, to die, to sleep perchance to dream. Aye, there's the rub. For in that sleep of death what dreams may come, when we have shuffled off this mortal coil, must give us pause. There's the respect that makes calamity of so long life. For who would bear the whips and scorns of time, the oppressor's wrong, the proud man's contumely, the pangs of despised love, the law's delay, the insolence of office, and the spurns that patient merit of the unworthy takes, when he himself might his quietus make with a bare bodkin? Who would fardels bear to grunt and sweat under a weary life? But that the dread of something after death, the undiscovered country from whose bourne no traveller returns, puzzles the will, and makes us rather bear those ills we have than fly to others that we know not of. Thus conscience does make cowards of us all, and thus the native hue of resolution is sicklied o'er with the pale cast of thought, and enterprises of great pith in moment with disregard the currents turn awry and lose the name of action. My mistress with the monster is in love. Near to her close and consecrated bower, while she was in her dull and sleeping hour, a crew of patches, rude mechanicals, that work for bread upon Athenian stalls, were met together to rehearse a play, intended for great Theseus' nuptial day. The shallowest thick skin of that barren sort, who Pyramus presented in their sport, forsook his scene and entered in a break, when I did him at disadvantage take. An ass's knoll I fixed on his head, and on his Thisbe must be answered. And forth my mimic comes, when they him spy, as wild geese at the creeping fowler eye, or russet-pated choughs many in sort, rising and cawing at the gun's report, sever themselves and madly sweep the sky, so at his sight away his fellows fly. And at our stamp here o'er and o'er one falls, he murder cries and help from Athens calls. Their sense thus weak, lost with their fierce thus strong, made senseless things begin to do them wrong. For briars and thorns at their apparel snatch, some sleeves, some hats, from yielders all things catch. I led them on in this distracted fear, and left sweet Pyramus translated there, when at that moment, so it came to pass, Titania waked and straightway loved an ass.